Hello and welcome to Everyday Tarot, your daily dive into the divine wisdom of the tarot. I'm your host, Camille A. Saunders, healer, intuitive tarot reader, and professional witch, and today I'm talking about the Wild Kuan Yin Oracle. Whether you're a seasoned tarot reader or just starting to explore, this podcast offers daily insights, intuitive messages, and practical advice drawn from the cards. Each episode is designed to help you connect with your inner wisdom, find clarity in your decisions, and tap into the energy of the universe. Tune in every day, Monday through Friday, for fresh perspectives and empowering guidance from the tarot as interpreted by me. If you love the show, the best way to support it for free is by listening daily, leaving a review, and subscribing or following in your favorite podcast app. You can get my free 2025 5-card tarot spread I created just for you, my lovely listeners, at the beginning of this year. You can get that by joining my newsletter list. My weekly newsletter always has the most up-to-date info on upcoming events, presentations, musings, and info and photos of my day-to-day life. If you are looking to be a guest on the podcast, I would love to get 1 to 2 more guests on my podcast before the end of 2025. If you're interested or know someone that might be a good fit, please fill out my form to be a guest on the podcast. You just have to be interested in talking about tarot. You don't have to be an expert or a tarot reader. But yeah, I would love to get a couple more folks. So this is season 19. Season 20 will be the last of 2025. And I'm just trying to fill it out. It will be mostly a guest season. So some of those guests I've already recorded our interviews. They're all going to be video episodes, which will be super fun. But yeah, I still have a couple more slots available to fill out the rest of the year. So I would love to get a few more folks as a guest. And if you're local and you want to meet me in person, you can join us for our New Year Full Moon Healing Circle on January 3rd from 2 to 4 p.m. So we'll step into the new year under the light of the first full moon, a sacred time for reflection, release, and renewal. As we enter 2026, this full moon invites us to pause and honor the turning of the cycle, to let go of what no longer serves us and create space for what's ready to bloom. Together, we'll reflect on the lessons of the past year, clear some stagnant energy, and set powerful intentions for the year ahead. We'll be meeting for 2 hours this time, a longer event than we've done before, since we are doing also New Year things in addition to full moon things. We'll actually be meeting on the real day of the full moon, so that'll be very fun. The Saturday, January 3rd. So we'll meet at Thresholds Collective in Tacoma from 2 to 4 p.m. and tickets for the January 3rd event are up already. So we would love to see you there. We have some folks that have already signed up, which is great. We probably have 15 total slots available. So yeah. Go ahead and grab those tickets now. Celebrate the new year together in a nice, reflection, release, renewal, witchy way with me and my colleague Izzy. And you can find the links for any of these offers in the show notes or on my website, CamilleASaunders.com/everydaytarot, in addition to the images of the cards I pull on each episode. All right, well, welcome to season 19, where I'm talking about different decks and how to use them. If you haven't listened to my other seasons yet, you can check those out. And today I'm talking about the Wild Kuan Yin Oracle, the Velvet Goddess Edition by Alana Fairchild. So the style of the deck, so it is an oracle deck. It's the Wild Kuan Yin Oracle, and then I have the Velvet Goddess Edition. So it's in this beautiful kind of giant purple box that has an image on the inside cover. I have the last card I pulled in here. It actually has a purple drawstring velvet bag that you can keep your cards in, and then it has a giant tarot or guidebook for the deck, like chapter book sized, almost 300-page book. So I know in the Goddess of Love tarot deck episode, I talked about that one, having a lot of rituals and other things to do. This one is actually even more extensive. So Alana Fairchild is the creator of this. Alana has a ton of oracle decks. And if you look at the images of the cards, you'll sort of sense, if you've seen any other Alana Fairchild decks before, a sort of like cohesive theme. This one was published, the original edition in 2015, and then I think this Velvet Goddess edition in 2022. Let's see here. I'll read a bit of the opening. It says, this oracle deck has been created with a specific intention to be your light in the moments when the darkness seems too much. When hope doesn't seem strong enough to overcome doubt, this oracle deck will become your medicine and remind you that grace makes all things possible. When the loving peace of spirit seems too far away from the troubles of the physical world, this oracle deck will become the body of the Divine Mother for you to hold either in your hands close to your heart or rest gently on your forehead. She will bring you comfort. She'll remind you of your fire, your boldness, your unique beauty, your passion, your courage. She'll guide you through even the darkest lost into the blessing of new life. The energy of this oracle deck will permeate the depths of your being. It will open your heart and mind to untold possibilities where what was once believed an impossible dream becomes your living, radiant reality. Within you beats a wild and compassionate heart alive with fierce optimism. Your heart knows that love has the power to conquer fear. You have the courage to walk a path of transformation. You are not afraid to shed old skins to become more of your divine self. You dream of living your highest destiny with fearlessness and joy. You are one of the wild ones. You will not be tamed by convention. You will not be censored by the fears of others. You are not afraid to be different. You are not afraid to be open to life, to take risks for what you love, and most of all, to keep hope in your heart. This deck is for you. So, what a lovely welcome and introduction there. Yeah, like I said, this deck was originally published in 2015, and the author, Alana Fairchild, republished it in 2022 with the super long guidebook that they have here, with the re-release of the original deck. I guess some editions of the deck had condensed the guidebook down to make them easier or simpler, but this is quite a lovely deck. Like, each card has, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, like multiple pages. Some have like up to 10 different pages about the card. So we get this sort of, I'm trying to think of like the structure of it here. Let's see. There are some example spreads at the beginning. They talk about how to read reversed cards. And it says, if you get an upside down or reversed card, treat the guidance as the same as if the card were right way up, but a special nudge from the loving universe, that it's maybe like more important or anything like that. So sort of with each card pull, you get so this sort of book is like black and white, but you get like another, like a picture of the card that you pulled. You get the number. So the first one here is above you. The Lantern Dancer is the card name. It gives a whole sort of like italicized description about what you should like think about right now, or what this card is about. And then it goes into kind of like the message from the card, which like I said is like multiple pages long. And then you also get with every card a healing process, so sort of like a way to like a ritual around each card. So like this one says, place your hand on your heart and take in 3 slow breaths in and out. Say aloud or quietly in your mind. And then there's sort of like a mantra there, and often like a visualization or like a meditation, which is very cool. So Yeah, so where did I get the deck? I got it in Beacon, New York, like upstate New York when I was there last year in the fall of 2024. As another retreat with the Dirty Hill Coven. As I've talked about before, we do sort of like annual retreats, mostly annual. And so I was there. We went in a witchy sort of store, one of those classic, like very small store, stacked from floor to ceiling with every kind of magical implement, or I remember there being like a ton of crystals in there, and it was like hard to navigate, like giant tables full of stuff, but I kind of like love that vibe, like a good maximalist vibe. There were lots of like herbs, I think, in there. It smelled really good. And we had just kind of been out exploring that day. And I remember like this deck really like standing out to me. Like it's a beautiful kind of like royal purple, like a deep, rich purple color. Everything in it is purple. The box, the book, the deck, like the velvet bag that it's in, the back of the cards are purple here. And this is like the Velvet Goddess edition. So that's part of it. But yeah, I remember it speaking to me, and I'm looking right now, but yeah, this is my first Oracle deck, and I sort of was like looking for tarot, but I didn't really like what I found, and this one really stood out to me. I remember it being like, it was not cheap, probably like, I don't know, over $60 or something, but I remember like I just kept coming back to it again. Like I sort of like looked around the store, I saw it, I saw like the couple of decks that they had, some tarot, some oracle. I like made another lap around the store. I came back, and then I started like really like opening it and looking through it, and I was like, this is very cool. I like this a lot. So it was quite the big thing to take home in my suitcase, but we did it. We made it. So yeah, it is an oracle deck. So of course, like, it is not at all similar to the Rider-Waite-Smith tarot deck. It has, let's see here, how many cards do we have? Let's see, 44 cards. And like I said, the deck guidebook is almost 300 pages long. It's 291. It talks about the artist, and Alana, who made the writings, and the artist did obviously I think paintings, oil paintings, they're there. And the style of the art on it is very like Tibetan culture. So the artist Wang Yiguang, it talks about it in the back. Lived in China, went to a lot of like art, went to the Central Academy of Fine Art, one of China's most prestigious and renowned art academies. And he had studied Tibetan culture for many years and used the theme of Tibet features in many of his works. And his oil paintings have been seen in the National Fine Art Show. He does a lot of things there. So that is like the style of the deck. So it's like oil paintings. They're beautiful. I love that these cards are a bit bigger because the art is gorgeous. Very like, I don't know, it has like a dreamlike quality to it. The messages are very like profound and deep, and the cards are still very gentle. I don't know if it's like the colors exactly or what, but I really love the style of it. Like I said, Alana Fairchild has like 20 oracle decks, books, albums of music and meditation, like all sorts of things. So if you like any aspect of the style of this, or if you have any Alana Fairchild decks, like this is another one that's available. What do I like to use it for? I honestly don't use it very often. Like some other decks I've talked about, it could be its own, like you could pull a single card and that could be like a contained ritual, because it kind of talks about the the card itself, the message of the card, and then there's this whole healing process, almost like a trauma healing process. And every card, whenever I pulled them, is like so, I was going to say like scary accurate, but you know, just in the way that tarot and oracle often is. So tarot decks have usually a 78 card structure that is similar or the same across all tarot decks. So it's the 56 traditional cards that are in like a plain deck of cards if you were gonna like play poker or something. So it's those cards, and then added in there are 22 kind of like people cards that are considered the major arcana. The numbers cards are the minor arcana. So that's just how we get our traditional 78 card deck. Oracle has a structure, but every oracle deck has a different structure. So if you've met one oracle deck, you could look at another and it will be wildly different. So there's sort of you don't have to come in with any prior knowledge, which is very nice. For some people that makes it easier. For some people that means like it's harder, right? Because you don't really know what you're gonna get, but it's like very much about the energy of the deck and the cards, and that kind of thing. So yeah, I would use it for someone that kind of wants like a very deep reading. Maybe I would pull it as like a way to have like a ritual to do, or if I'm feeling like I'm needing some like trauma healing. I don't know exactly why that's coming to mind right now, but that's what I'm thinking about with this deck. Like I said, it's a very like gentle, like the art, while powerful, is all very like the energy of it is just like warm and fuzzy, I would say. It has a lot of like bulls or like cows on it, like Tibetan mules or ox on them. So a lot of animals. It's mostly, or maybe all, women that are depicted. And some of the cards, I guess another way that it's different from a Rider-Waite-Smith deck is that some of the cards are depicted vertically and some of the art is depicted horizontally. So this is another reason why it's like a bit hard to read the reversals, because if the art is horizontal and you get a reversal with the card vertically, it's hard to tell if it's reversed or not, I guess is what I'm gonna say. And some of the cards, like I said, are horizontally depicted and some are vertical. And they all have the number and, again, sort of like a phrase assigned to each card. So like this one, number 13, grace in full flight. Number 15, play with me. Number 21, the slave dances into freedom. Number 11, the princess of red poppies. So very different in that way too, not like a singular name of a card, more of like a phrase, or like this one, number 40, her joy renders the impossible task possible. So I guess like, yeah, if you were doing a very in-depth reading, if you were wanting to use it with someone that, yeah, had maybe been through a lot of trauma, or maybe wasn't quite sure what they were asking about, they want a reading, but they don't necessarily have like a question in mind, I feel like this deck would be quite good with that, because it doesn't really like answer in like a yes or no way. It answers in like a here's what I like think you need right now. So anything I wouldn't use it for. So like I said, I personally find it hard to read reversals in this deck, and I generally don't do it. It doesn't per the sort of like description I read earlier about reversals, it doesn't have anything in particular in the deck guidebook for reversals, except for the sort of note at the beginning just saying that if you pull it reverse, that maybe that's like even more of a nudge from the universe. I wouldn't use it with anyone that like wants a more traditional tarot reading, or anyone that's like wants a fast reading, because it's very in-depth. Like I said, you could just pull one card and like sit with it and like do everything that it says in the book for like 30 minutes probably. to just take in all the information, write down your own stuff that you've been thinking about with it. Like, look at the art. The art is like beautiful, like I've said. It's a lot of like landscapes, people, women, and yeah, like a bunch of oxen, which is very interesting. We get some other imagery, like this one has sheep on it. But yeah, a lot of like landscapes, and I love how like they play a lot with like how large the person is on the card. Like sometimes the person takes up like half of the card image, like this one does, and then sometimes like this one has two people in it and they're on either side of the card. Sometimes like the person is very small on top of an ox, or like the ox is what takes up most of the image. There's a lot of like women riding the oxen, or like, and a lot of movement to the cards. That would be the other thing I would say. Every card has a lot of movement to it, depicted in like swirling leaves, or like it looks like someone's falling backwards, or like the ox is running, or stuff like that. So yeah, that's sort of like the general idea. So I think I answered all the questions. Let's go ahead and pull a card to see what message this deck has for us today. And I'll try to keep it short, but we'll see because like I said, the messages are all pretty like in-depth and long. Okay, I pulled number 31, Harvest Mother Watches Over Me. This one is a horizontal card, so we sort of see I would say like a very pregnant looking sheep. And we see two people, one of which is sort of like looking at the other one. They look more of like an adult figure. They're sitting on the ground. The sheep is kind of standing up, and we see all these like almost like desert sand dune type mountain things behind them. And then we see like a bunch of perhaps like wheat or some kind of grain in the foreground of the image. And then we see like a younger girl, it looks like, with her back to the adult, and sort of very much in shadow and wearing a lot of like fluffy, furry clothing. And it is horizontal. I did pull it upright, I suppose. So we will think about that. And then what number is this? 31. Harvest Mother watches over me. I watch over you whilst you gaze within, for the time has come when you are best to gather your energy and direct it to your inner world. So much has been happening around you and within you, so much that it needs time and attention to now be distilled, integrated, and digested. It will bring you greater peace and a sense of completion to do this now. It is time to harvest your emotional world to be ready to gain the rich wisdom of your experiences. Then you shall be ready for us to begin again, for another chapter in your life journey, wiser, stronger, and ready together. I'll start reading the beginning, but I probably won't read all of it because, like I said, it's very long. There's like 4 pages, and then there's a note about the healing process, and then there's the whole healing process. So it says, there are times on the path when we feel the urge to go within, to withdraw from the world for a time, to claim some space. We may not know why, but if we avoid the impulse, we miss the great benefit that such a process can bring. In this world, we are typically taught that things happen through effort directed towards external action. Of course, there is a time and place for this. However, there's also a time when the action needs to be internally oriented, and far more about receiving and restoring rather than doing, about contemplating and integrating rather than strategizing and initiating. This oracle comes to you at a time when there has been so much happening in your outer world and even in your inner world, so much awakening, so much experience that it needs to be processed. sorted through, and released into some sort of useful content. If you do not do this, you will feel a sort of uncomfortable fullness within, a sense of not being able to move forwards in life as freely as you would like. It may feel as though you need to empty out, create some space, and find resolution within before you feel ready to take in more of what life has to offer. The Oracle of Harvest Mother watches over me brings a message that it is safe and timely now for you to declutter your world, especially your internal world, although clearing out something of your physical world may be a way to enhance this process. The Oracle guides you that this is not a time to keep taking in more information or to push yourself to have more experiences, meet new people, or take new risks. This will all happen again soon enough. The Oracle of the Harvest Mother watches over me also indicates a time of great abundance, of hidden gifts becoming apparent, and of being received if you are willing to create some space. This is not a time to keep going with momentum or pursuing something simply out of habit. There is a rich growth fueling divine substance within your reach, and to receive the nectar of your life, you need to change pace. There's a lot more. I was going to look at the note about the healing process. It says, your healing process is the prayer that follows, plus whatever method of internal self-expression you may choose for yourself. It's not about creating something perfect. It is about freedom to simply be, or move, or vocalize, or feel whatever it is that seems most authentic for you. You must give yourself permission to let go of logic or trying to control or direct your practice. This is about creating some space for you to be without the usual restraints upon your behavior. It is about entering sacred space within. You might have been cultivating such a practice for years, or this may be very new for you, and the idea of going within may seem rather foreign. Perhaps you wonder if you're capable of doing this at all. Don't worry, there is no wrong way to do this. Practice, and you will find your preferred methods of working with your inner material as you explore your journey. Feel free to choose whatever method you like: art, music, dance, poetry, nature walks, meditation, writing in your journal, drawing your dreams, or simply lying down and having a rest. Or if you are uncertain which method to choose, then simply do the prayer and short ritual practice on its own instead. If you do have a preferred method of inner work and want to add the healing process to that practice, feel free to do so. May your journey be blessed by the Divine Mother. That's where I'm going to stop for now. Like I said, there's a lot in here. There's the whole healing process, which is another 2 pages of information. But usually, like I said, it's sort of like a journaling, perhaps like a bit of a mantra or prayer, usually doing something like physical, like putting your hand over an object, laying down, putting your hand on your heart, breathing practices, and then kind of like an integration process, I guess is what I would say. But yeah, that is this deck, the Wild Kuan Yin Oracle Velvet Goddess Edition by Alana Fairchild. So links for the tarot decks and oracle decks I talk about will always be in the show notes and on my website if you'd like to look at them or purchase them. And thanks for joining me today on Everyday Tarot. Just as a reminder, the podcast comes out daily, Monday through Friday for all of 2025. You can email me, me@CamilleASaunders.com with your thoughts, questions, and more. All right, see you soon. Bye-bye.